Wild is the word.
She became famous because of Wonder Woman, but she was also stuck in a nightmare from which she was unable to break free. At 73, will you continue doing those? Will that turn into a... What did they tell you, or was it a typical kind of thing? It truly depends on the ratings, and they were excellent. Yes. As I comprehend. Thus, there is additional waiting. Yes. You simply need to wait longer. Did you intend to do this? In the entertainment industry? Yes, exactly. Really? My entire life. Ever since you were a young child. Ever when I was a young child. I began by singing and doing whatever I could, including participating in all of the school productions. Yes. I've been watching the Dinosaur Chevy show ever since I can remember. At last, Lynda Carter is speaking up. About the actual events that took place on set. The threats, the stalking, and the strong man who nearly brought her down. She was too scared to share this story, which includes hidden addictions and the most sinister cover-ups in Hollywood. As of right now, Lynda Carter's journey started on July 24, 1951, in Phoenix, Arizona. She came from a household with strong cultural ties and was the youngest of 3 children. Her mother was of Mexican, Spanish, and French origin, and her father was of English and Scots-Irish. Lynda was never fluent in Spanish. She was quite proud of her ancestry and understood it well. Her parents' divorce changed the course of her childhood. When she was just 10 years old, her mother, Juanita, took up the role of providing for the family by working in the telephone sector. Lynda's perspective on the world was shaped by her mother's strength. She learned to be resilient from it. It demonstrated to her the strength of tenacity. However, Lynda had a quality that set her apart, especially during challenging circumstances. She was passionate about performing. On Phoenix's local television show, Lou King's Talent Show, something ignited inside her at that instant. She belonged on stage, she didn't merely like it. At about the same time, she began taking ballet lessons. She studied under a teacher from the Royal British School of Ballet for the next 10 years at the School Ballet of Phoenix. Her new passion by the time she started high school was music. She joined a band called Just Us, which featured a conga drum and other strange instruments. She later joined her relatives and actor Gary Berghoff, who played drums, in another band called The Relatives. The trio secured a show at the Sahara Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas when she was 17 years old. She had to enter through the kitchen in order to go on stage because she was too young to be there. After graduating from Phoenix's Arcadia High School, Lynda enrolled at Arizona State University. She studied theater and classical dance, and her peers chose her as the most talented student. Her desire to continue her education was overshadowed by her love of music. She dropped out of college in 1970 to play in a band called the Garfin Gathering, which played in the casino lounges of Nevada. They played their first show at a recently opened hotel in San Francisco. The structure wasn't even complete. They had to perform for hotel employees in a parking garage because there were no adequate pavements. It was a beginning, but it wasn't glamorous. Lynda needed something new after traveling for 2 years. Uncertain of what to do next, she returned to Arizona in 1972. She had pursued music for years, but now she was going to enter a world she had never known existed. Modeling agencies were drawn to her remarkable appearance back in Phoenix. She had dark hair, piercing blue eyes, and stood 5 feet 9 inches. She joined with a local agency right away and started participating in pageants for beauty pageants. What began as a side gig grew into something far more significant. She won the title of Miss Arizona Miss World USA in a matter of months. Lynda Carter was crowned Miss World USA in Hampton, Virginia, on September 1, 1972. Her poise and self-assurance made her stand out among the 45 competitors. She would represent the United States at the Miss World pageant in London at Royal Albert Hall if she won that title. She placed in the top 15 after competing against 53 international delegates. It was a turning point in history. After a year, she was crowned Miss USA. It took more than just donning a sash and grinning for the cameras to win that title. She had the courage to pursue more ambitious goals as a result. Carter had been performing night after night in lounges as a singer before pageants, but he had no clear direction. She was able to leave that life behind and pursue acting studies in New York because to the opportunities Miss USA provided. She received instruction in character development from renowned instructors such as Stella Adler. Into Hollywood, where a lot of new people have trouble fitting in. The next significant step was to go to Los Angeles, although it wasn't an easy one. In an attempt to gain noticed for a role, she began taking acting classes and going to auditions. She made her television debut in the criminal drama Nakia in 1974. More cameos in series such as Hutch and Koss and Starsky. Although they weren't revolutionary, some sections were significant. They kept her idea alive, provided her with experience, and assisted her in making contacts. Things weren't looking well in 1975. Her singing career had almost depleted her savings. She was considering returning to Arizona, but she only had $25 left in her bank account. Then everything changed just as she was ready to give up. She was cast as Wonder Woman, her manager informed her over the phone. When the producers changed their minds, Carter was given the opportunity to play the part that had previously gone to Joanna Cassidy. The time was ideal. She had the chance of a lifetime, but she had been prepared to leave. Carter also played Bobby Joe Baker in the 1976 film Bobby Joe and the Outlaw. Although the movie wasn't a huge hit, she gained essential on-screen experience. More significantly, it readied her for the next step. There was more to playing Diana Prince and her superhero persona than just dressing the role. Carter gave the character a deeper dimension. In addition to her physical attributes, she exuded warmth, charisma, and a commanding presence that made her Wonder Woman. There had been fierce rivalry for the position. Carter stood out among the actresses that were taken into consideration, including Farrah Fawcett and Jacqueline Smith. In addition to having the strength and beauty the creators desired, she also possessed an extra element, a natural elegance that gave Wonder Woman a genuine feel. She had a straightforward response when the filmmakers cautioned her that some women could be envious of her for portraying a character who prioritizes appearance. She stated, "I want women to aspire to be me or to be my best friend." For her, becoming Wonder Woman was about more than just dressing up. She advocated empowerment, self-assurance, and strength. Wonder Woman was an immediate hit when it debuted in 1975. It has 60 episodes spread across 3 seasons from 1975 to 1979. During World War II, Wonder Woman fought Nazis and stood up for Justin. It then fast-forwarded to the 1970s, when she had to deal with contemporary dangers like terrorism and espionage. This energy, enabling it to examine both traditional bravery and modern difficulties. Wonder Woman was made famous by Lynda Carter. She provided the role warmth, strength, and intelligence in addition to playing a superhero. The story changed to the current day after the first season's emphasis on patriotism and battling evil during a war. It introduced fresh topics that reflected a changing world. Wonder Woman was standing for justice in a way that seemed genuine, not just stopping criminals. Carter was more than just an actor. She did a lot of her own stunts, which at the time was practically unheard of for female celebrities. Anchiel's 77, the second season episode, featured one of the riskiest scenes. She had to soar 50 feet in the air while hanging from a helicopter. She took a risk when the stunt double didn't resemble her sufficiently. She would take care of it herself. There were no nets or safety harnesses to catch her in case things went wrong. Despite the network executive's alarm, Carter remained resolute. Later, she described the experience as exhilarating and cited it as one of the highlights of her role as Wonder Woman. However, this incarnation of Wonder Woman was notable for more reasons than just action. Carter was determined to keep the persona from being merely a nice face. She desired for her to serve as an example. She ensured that Wonder Woman has not only strength but also kindness, wisdom, and compassion. Not only someone to look at, she wanted women to see her as someone they could respect. That equilibrium she had to establish herself in a male-dominated world as Diana Prince, a shrewd and competent agent. She was invincible because she was Wonder Woman. Her character was important on both levels. The timing of the show was ideal. The late 1970s saw the rise of the women's liberation movement. There weren't many female heroes on TV. That was altered by Wonder Woman. She came to represent strength and self-reliance. Gloria Steinem featured Wonder Woman on the cover of the inaugural issue of Ms. magazine in 1972, even before the show debuted. That instance demonstrated her significance in culture as well as comics. That was the foundation of the series. It conveyed statements about equality, independence, and women's strength in addition to depicting Wonder Woman battling villains. Lynda Carter may have remained in the background of her most well-known role after Wonder Woman concluded in 1979. Rather, she established a profession that demonstrated she was much more than a fictional superhero. She entered the music industry by showcasing her singing abilities on a number of TV shows. 1980 saw the airing of Lynda Carter's special and encore later that year. For its art direction, Celebration was nominated for an Emmy in 1981, and Street Life carried on the tradition in 1982. These programs combined dance, music, and celebrity visits, allowing Carter to demonstrate that she was capable of more than just acrobatics and action sequences. She continued to pursue acting as she experimented with music. In a lighthearted 1980 episode of The Muppet Show, she was mistaken for the real Wonder Woman. She wanted to demonstrate that she could handle more serious roles, but the humor made it clear that she wasn't ashamed to have fun with her superhero history. She accepted the role of Rita Hayworth in the 1983 television film Rita Hayworth, The Love Goddess, which chronicled the Hollywood icon's ascent to stardom and personal hardships. Carter also colored her hair to resemble Hayworth's characteristic style in order to be ready for the part. Critics gave the movie mixed reviews, with some claiming it didn't go deeply enough into Hayworth's darker moments. Nonetheless, it was a significant turning point in Carter's career that demonstrated her willingness to adopt a complicated persona. She and Lonnie Anderson collaborated on the distinctive crime series Partners in Crime in 1984. Carter portrayed Carol Stanwyck, a wealthy new from a less affluent family. There was just one thing the two women shared in common. The same man had been their spouse. They had to cooperate to solve cases after he was murdered because they acquired his detective agency. Despite having a blend of humor, intrigue, and action, the show had trouble attracting viewers. It was canceled after only 13 episodes. Despite its brief duration, it provided Carter with another opportunity to assume a new role. She was prepared to try something entirely different by the late 1980s. She portrayed Helen Durant in Mike Hammer, Murder Takes All, 1989, an affluent woman with a sinister secret. Carter had a unique opportunity to play a villain in the movie, which was based on Mickey Spillane's well-known detective role. She co-starred with a teenage Jim Carrey in one of his first roles and Stacy Keach's Mike Hammer. Although it wasn't a big hit, the film demonstrated that Carter wasn't scared to deviate from her heroic persona. Music continued to play a significant role in her life despite everything. In 1978, while Wonder Woman was still airing, the album Portrait was released. It included a variety of covers and original compositions, such as She's Always a Woman by Billy Joel. Her musical career continued when two of her songs were even included in a Wonder Woman episode. Her jazz album At Last, which she published in 2009, peaked at number 10 on Billboard's Jazz Albums chart. She then released Crazy Little Things in 2011, which was a blend of pop and country. In 2015, she even composed and performed 5 original songs for the video game Fallout 4, giving the game's setting a distinctive musical feel. Carter has demonstrated that she is more than simply an actor from a beloved television program by performing with her all-star band to this day. Even while she will always be known as Wonder Woman, her post-series career is more significant. Furthermore, love, loss, and the decisions that characterized Lynda Carter throughout her life have all influenced it. At first, marriage seemed like a fantasy. She married her talent agency and Hollywood producer Ron Samuels in 1977 when she was only 25 years old. She was at the pinnacle of her Wonder Woman stardom at the time. However, what initially appeared to be a wonderful match turned out to be a mistake she subsequently came to regret. She acknowledged that her marriage was a mistake. She claimed that I was simply foolish and that he was much older. Samuels was in charge of her career and made a lot of her own professional choices. She trusted that he understood what was best and allowed him take the lead. That imbalance led to strain over time. She felt stuck in her career as well as in her marriage. She struggled to advance because Hollywood continued to typecast her as Wonder Woman. She recognized that something needed to change because of her failing marital and professional difficulties. 5 years later, in 1982, she filed for divorce. It was a pivotal choice that gave her the ability to regain control over her life. After 2 years, everything was different. She wed Robert Altman, a Washington, D.C. lawyer, in 1984. It felt different this time. Their relationship was based on respect for one another, and they had a deeper connection. Carter remained steadfast in her conviction that Altman was innocent even after he was charged with fraud during his banking job. Even though he was ultimately found not guilty, the ordeal put them both to the test. Under hardship, they became stronger rather than broke. After deciding to relocate to Potomac, Maryland, they established a life together away from Hollywood. James and Jessica, their 2 kids. She was a mother first, but she had been a Hollywood star previously. She desired for her kids to have normal lives free from the demands of celebrity. Celebrity was less important to them than knowledge and curiosity. In addition to following their father's legal career, her children also carried on her passion for music. After graduating from law school, Jessica decided to pursue a career in music, playing with her mother at venues such as the Kennedy Center. Carter always felt that leaving her family in Hollywood was the correct thing to do. Her family had given her purpose, but fame had brought her attention. The life she had created for almost 40 years was then irrevocably altered in 2021. Altman died of a rare kind of leukemia called myelofibrosis. Carter lost her dearest friend in addition to her spouse. She later acknowledged that following his passing, she grieved several times every day. She had been with him for nearly 37 years, and now she had to learn how to cope without him. She dedicated her sorrow to penning songs, publishing Divine and Human as an ode to their mutual love. In addition to being about loss, the song expressed thanks for their time together. In order to assist those impacted by myelofibrosis, she also made a fund for research into the condition as a result of her suffering. She continues to talk candidly about her loss even after years of mourning. Though she continues to move on through music, philanthropy, and her children's love, some days are more difficult than others. She's figuring things out. Lynda Carter was more than simply a TV hero. In real life, she became one. She has been a fervent advocate for LGBTQ+ rights for many years. Her advocacy extends well beyond public gatherings, as she acted as Grand Marshal at Pride parades in Phoenix and Washington, D.C. She has advocated for genuine change by using her voice. She has defended the LGBTQ+ community from prejudice and promoted donations to LGBTQ+ groups. She gained notoriety in 2022 when she referred to Wonder Woman as a gay icon. She revealed how many followers told her that the role helped them feel strong during times of loneliness. Carter didn't hold back either, but some others did. She responded to the deluge of anti-trans hate on social media with a straightforward yet impactful statement. Wonder ladies are transgender women. The narrative is over. As discussions over transgender rights grew more heated, her backing became even more crucial. Identity, Carter said. She spoke out for transgender people and criticized those who held them responsible for issues pertaining to women's rights. Equality, she clarified, entails equality for all. She continues to be an activist. She has devoted her life to raising awareness of breast cancer. She has collaborated closely with the Susan G. Komen Foundation and was one of the first members of the National Race for the Cure. The organization has funded more than 2 studies since 1982. Particularly for marginalized populations, Carter has contributed to raising awareness of early detection and treatment. She is aware that the goal of this battle is to save lives, not just raise money. She has backed initiatives that guarantee women have access to screenings and treatment regardless of their socioeconomic circumstances. In the United States, survival rates for localized breast cancer have increased to 98% as a result of initiatives like these. She has also discussed the value of family support in times of medical emergency, emphasizing that no one should have to face this alone. Carter has never shied away from taking a political stance. She has publicly backed Democratic politicians such as Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton. She supported Kamala Harris after Biden resigned in 2024, lauding her efforts on climate change and reproductive rights. However, she had one of her most audacious political moments during the 2024 legislative election in Arizona. She supported Karen Gresham and Kelly Butler, 2 Democratic candidates, against Pamela Carter, her own sister. Pamela disagreed with Lynda's views on abortion rights and same-sex marriage. Lynda did not remain quiet. She made it obvious that equality was more important than familial bonds and spoke out against her sister's beliefs. It garnered media attention. She didn't give up, though. Additionally, she has been among the most vocal celebrities in favor of transgender rights. She has frequently opposed legislation that discriminates against transgender individuals. She has reminded people that court decisions like the overturning of Roe v. Wade, not transgender women, are the true threats to women's rights. She has exposed discrimination and raised the voices of individuals who are frequently disregarded by using her platform. Wonder Woman's face, Lynda Carter, was a representation of elegance and strength. No one could see the conflict she was engaged in. She started consuming alcohol in her mid-20s. It wasn't a quick collapse. It began as a coping mechanism for emotional difficulties and gradually spread. She subsequently referred to it as an abyss, something that drew her in before she even recognized the depth of her descent. She was then married to Ron Samuels, a talent agent. Although it lasted from 1977 to 1982, their marriage was not at all joyful. She drank more because of the relationship. For brief periods of time, such as during her pregnancy, she was able to quit, but the issue never truly went away. She kept going back every time she quit. The cycle was one of remorse, shame, and denial. Her difficulties in her career made matters worse. She was typecast after Wonder Woman concluded in 1979. Offers became limited. She was now viewed as a single figure by the business that had formerly praised her. Her drinking was motivated by the feeling of being stuck. A bad habit by the early 1980s. She was being cut off from those who loved her the most because of it. She was able to conceal it for years. She told herself she was in charge. However, all changed in 1997. Robert Altman, her second husband, witnessed the events and refused to turn a blind eye. He advised her to seek assistance. She listened this time. Knowing that this was her last chance to change her situation, she checked herself into a Maryland rehabilitation facility. The process of rehab was excruciating. Carter had always believed that she was strong and could overcome any obstacle, but she knew that she couldn't overcome her addiction on her own. She needed to unlearn that willpower was sufficient. She was able to comprehend the deeper causes of her drinking through therapy. She learned that she wasn't alone through support groups. She began to recover gradually. All the while, Altman supported her. He never gave up on her, even though their marriage had already weathered its fair share of difficulties, including his legal disputes in the early 1990s. Because he did more than merely urge her to seek assistance, she frequently referred to him as her knight in shining armor. He supported her during every stage of her recuperation. They stayed together until 2021, when he passed away. She also continues to speak about addiction and recovery in remembrance of him. In an interview with People magazine in 2008, Carter opened out about her difficulties for the first time. It was a brave move for everyone who had ever felt humiliated of their addiction, not just for her. She wanted people to know that they could get well. Discussing addiction, such as the Wagoners Foundation Speaker Series presented by the Council on Recovery. She gives people hope by sharing her tale. Despite being a household figure in the 1970s as Wonder Woman, Lynda Carter's Hollywood career was not at all glamorous. Speaking candidly about the harassment she experienced, she subsequently exposed the negative aspects of the industry. She said in 2018 that she had been singled out by a strong man who had abused other women. She didn't give him a name. She didn't have to, though. He was already dealing with the fallout from the #MeToo movement by that point. She had thought about filing a lawsuit, but she had run out of viable options. She ultimately felt like just another lady whose suffering had gone unnoticed. She and other actors secretly warned one another for years. A career could be destroyed by speaking up. Powerful men were shielded by the industry, not the women they harmed. To whom will you disclose? You won't be believed, she said. She felt helpless in real life, while playing a hero on TV. However, there were other terrible times in her career than covert abuse. One of these took place on the Wonder Woman set. A hole had been bored in her dressing room wall by a videographer. He intended to spy on her. It wasn't until studio bosses summoned her in that she realized how she had changed. The individual was apprehended, dismissed, and barred from the field. That didn't, however, change what had already occurred. She felt violated and exposed. When she eventually shared her story decades later, it covered more ground than just what had occurred to her. It had to do with the bigger system that made it possible. By speaking up, she reaffirmed the values that Wonder Woman had always upheld. retaliating despite the overwhelming odds.